There is a term in ultra running that every runner dreads. DNF. Did not finish. I joined the race already knowing this would be me. Not might be, would be. Let me explain. The race is called Backyard Ultra. It was invented by Gary Cantrell. He designed the most brutal marathon formats known to mankind. The rules are simple. You run a loop 6.7 kilometers every hour on the hour. You keep doing this until you can't anymore. The last person left standing wins. Everyone else, by design, does not finish. There is no finish line. There's just a point where you stop, and after that, you're done. So the only real question going in was which loop would be mine. I had run Backyard Ultras before, 4 of them. I trained hard for those. I raced them like I meant to win. This one was different, and I knew it would be different before I even lined up. I hadn't run an ultramarathon in over a year. I took a break from racing after finishing my third and final H1. And my daughter was born during the same year. Somewhere between the feeding sessions and the new sleep schedule, running quietly turned into something I used to do. Like a hobby I'd retired without meaning to. The longest I'd run before this race was 36 kilometers. Not nearly enough. I knew that going in, and I signed up anyway. We drove in early from Iligan. We got there in time to grab one of the last canopy tents and set up a small makeshift aid station. No crew this time, just me. If I forget something between loops, I have no one to blame but myself. The course wrapped around the salt farms of Alubihid, near the coast, which meant heat, humidity, and dirt roads that would turn the day into something close to a slow sauna. I also brought my action camera, which I'd never done in a backyard ultra before. In past races, I was only focused on running. This time, I wanted to document some of it. And so here we are, at the starting corral of Pakusganay Backyard Ultra. The race director called us into the corral a little before 5, 79 of us. Some faces I recognized from years of these starts. Some new. The sun hadn't come up yet, and for a little while the air was almost cool. That wouldn't last. Loop number 1. The first few loops went the way they always do. Legs fresh, eyes doing most of the work. Number 2. Loop number 2. The salt farms caught the early light in a way I wasn't expecting. And there's a stretch to the mangrove forest that felt for a few minutes almost peaceful, before the heat reminded you where you actually were. By the third or fourth loop, I'd found my people, the runners you trade small talk with, so the loops don't become boring. And for a while, the whole thing felt almost easy. The fifth loop is where the heat stopped being something I could ignore, and where I started leaning hard on a piece of gear that mattered more than anything else I had packed. An ice bandana my wife has folded and sewn into a triangle so it could hold ice against the back of my neck. She made it for an earlier race back when I still raced like there was something to prove. It was strange running with it again. Same old faded bandana, different person wearing it. Maybe. By the sixth loop, I'd reached the edge of what my body currently knew. 40 kilometers or so, which is where my training capped over the last year. Everything past that point was unfamiliar ground again. and I noticed myself almost looking forward to it. The way you look forward to a question you don't know the answer to. People say muscle memory carries you through stretches like this. Maybe it does a little, but running tells you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And the truth was that the fitness I used to have wasn't there anymore. The will was. After that, the loops blurred into a kind of routine. Go out, run, manage the heat, come back with a few minutes to spare, refuel, sit for a second, breathe, go again.
3, 2, 1, let's go! See ya! Let's go!
Somewhere around loop 7, I found myself thinking less about the pace and more about her. Actually, my daughter. Probably asleep back home with no idea her father was out there voluntarily cooking in the salt farm at noon. It's a strange thing, choosing pain on a day you could just easily be home with your family. I didn't have a clean answer for why I was out here instead. I'm not sure I have one now. I just knew I needed to find out what was left of me. And this was the only way I knew how to ask.
Bagting.
Loop 8 ended with a small private kind of relief. 53 kilometers, the farthest I'd run in over a year. My quad had started a dull, steady pain. And somewhere on my feet, a blister was very likely forming. Though by then, I'd stopped checking. I had already done what I came to do. I could have stopped there. For a few minutes, sitting under the canopy tent, I actually considered it. It would have been a perfectly reasonable place to end the story. But I didn't stop. By loop 9, I'd already decided loop 10 would be the last one. And the pain by then had a strange clarity to it. The kind that tells you exactly where the edge is. Somewhere in there, the question I'd been circling all day finally answered itself. Not with words exactly, just with simple fact that I was still moving. The old version of myself hadn't left. He'd just been waiting for me to come back and ask. The 10th loop was, in its own way, a victory lap. Even knowing it would end in a DNF. I've stood at this particular edge before. And at some point, a DNF in a Backyard Ultra stopped feeling like a failure and started feeling like relief. I came in having gone further than I needed to. 67 kilometers in total. Not close to my personal best for a Backyard Ultra. Not even half of it. But it's what I had on this particular day, after this particular year. And walking back to the tent afterward, sore in places I'd forgotten could be sore, I found I was genuinely fine with that. Grateful, actually. I still don't think I can explain cleanly why signing up for something you already know that you'll fail at feels worth doing. Lazarus Lake himself said, "There is no mercy in the backyard. There is no good try, there is no almost. There's only success or failure." That should be discouraging, and somewhere in my old, more competitive years, maybe it would have. This time, it just feels honest. The race didn't ask me to prove I was the runner I used to be. It just asked how many loops were in me today, and let me go find out. I got my answer. 10 loops, 67 kilometers, and a quiet kind of peace I wasn't expecting to find in a salt farm at the edge of my own limits.